Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Quantum Leap Futures Morning Leap Session for Thursday, July 14th, 2016. My name is Doug McKay. I am the founder and head moderator for Quantum Leap Futures. Each morning we get together in these live go-to sessions to take a look at the market macro to micro, take a look at the structure of the market, and then drill down to our trade levels, our targets, and our hypotheses for the day. We do use an if-then-that strategy, whereas we determine what the possible hypothesis or hypotheses are so that we know what we can do and at what levels we're going to do them at. Before we get going, this is a subscription room, so if you're interested in checking it out, we do these live sessions each morning, and then we do live trading and analysis during the course of the RTH trading session. Send me an email at quantumleapfutures@gmail.com. There's no website, there's no blog, this is not a commercial venture, this is just a group of retail traders operating within a self-organized learning environment. Please read through the disclaimer. Nobody at Quantum Leap is a certified trading advisor. We are retail traders operating within a self-organized learning environment. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Any trades that you see in Quantum Leap are for education purposes only. Please trade your own due diligence, your own trade plan, and your own risk metrics. Okay, so let's just take a quick review of yesterday. Yesterday, our main hypothesis was a open auction outer range and then a move down to test the range from the prior day, a move down into the VPOC, and then finding buyers and rotating back up out of the prior day and making new highs. Hypo 2 was open auction out of range, a move down to the 49, a move down to 42, and then a late day probe down to the 34-32 level. And then Hypo 3 was an open auction out of range, a move down into the range and value area of the prior day, and then chopping around between 38, 50, and 49. Obviously, Hypo 3 is what we got. We opened auction out of range, came back down into value, chopped around, went down, tried to break out to the low side. Buyers stepped in, and then we just slowly ground our way back up and chopped around, creating a very strong kurtosis and Gaussian distribution in around that 46. Just below the prior day VPOC at 47. Our two-day VPOC now, our two-day VPOC now is at 46 and a quarter, and then overnight we blasted out again, and we went up and we're making new highs. We went up as high as 68 overnight. If you look at the weekly, our weekly ATR 20-period weekly is 55.3375. So our weekly ATR is still up at 21.7550. So we still have capabilities to expand this to the upside. We are going to open up in a very large gap. Gap rules are going to be in effect. If we open up here, we've got a greater than 15-point gap. There's less than a 14% probability that we close that gap, so you'll have to be aware of that. We did have that zipper measured move that was never violated. We never got below the 38 and a quarter key line in the sand, so that zipper measured move up to 55.75 and then the extended up to 59.75 were hit in the overnight. These are no longer valid. These are not, zipper moves are a 24-hour thing. It's not like an RTH naked VPOC or something like that that has to be taken out in the RTH session. Those measured moves are done on a session 31, which includes the Globex. So those measured moves are completely done. So each morning we take a look at the news. So let's take a look at the news. We had Canadian NHPI month over month expected at 0.2, came out at 0.7. PPI US expected at 0.3, came out at 0.5. The big one, which was the unemployment claims, expected 263, beat at 254, and then core PPI expected 0.1, came out at 0.4. It is a holiday in France, so we don't have that. The only other news that we've got really is the 10:30 natural gas storage, and that's at 10:30 Eastern. We did have Great Britain official bank rate this morning, one of the reasons why the market is up, and they left the rate the same. And pretty much that's the news for the day. Each morning I like to start with a basic candlestick chart and start with the monthly and then work my way down. I use a 9 EMA and a 20 SMA, and basically what I'm looking for is slope and separation of the moving averages and strength of the trend and where the trend is being violated or challenged. And you can see on the monthly we've had this very strong move up. End of 2015, beginning of 2016, we violated and challenged the trend, and then the last 4 months we've taken it back, and we are now making new all-time highs and getting slope and separation to the upside. So monthly is looking like a continuation pattern. On the weekly, we're getting this parabolic move. We're creating a fairly large technical gap. That gap doesn't even get close to being closed until we get back below the 2100. We've got slope and separation to the upside. The trend is up on the weekly. On the daily, same thing. We've got this strong move up. We have created a technical gap. A gap close on the daily is going to be somewhere in around the 21, 24, 25, probably going to be closer to the 29 by the time we get there, but we've got good slope, good separation. The trend is up on the daily. Going to the intraday, you can see we've got this very strong trend to the upside on the 4-hour, on the 30-minute, on the 15-minute, we're starting to see some weakness. We came down and challenged the trend, got back up, challenged the 20, and now we're back above the 9. We do have slope and separation, but we're seeing some weakness. We've got a lower high here. We do not have a lower low, so we just have to wait and see. A move down below the 2160, 175 would violate this upward trend that we've got going on the 15-minute. And then on the 5-minute, you can see we've got more consolidation, but we are holding above the 9 and the 20. The weekly ATR is still above us, so we still have room to go up. We've got today and tomorrow to go up. We're nowhere near testing the downside weekly ATR, so just be aware of that. Okay, so let's take a look at the structure. Not much to look at up here. We've got the distribution zone and the microcomposite value area that we broke out of. After they broke out, the price they accepted before the gap up again is down at 2087, so that is our key target still below us to come back and test and find buyers. But we've gapped up 3 more times since then, and we're going to get our 4th gap up today. We did have a gap up yesterday, but we came right back down and filled it. The microcomposite 2-day VPOC is down here at 2146. This is the strongest price acceptance that we have in this area. But again, like I said earlier, we're going to open up out of range and above that 10, 12 point gap, and that's got a very low probability of being taken out. Although this has got to be getting a little bit exhaustive here. I thought that this was the exhaustive gap yesterday, and thought, okay, we filled it in. Now we can come back and repair all this this area down here and fill in these gaps. And what happens? We gap up again. So just goes to show you that the market's going to do what it's going to do, and you got to trade each level one level at a time. And we've got no guidance up here, no guidance whatsoever. We do have some measured moves, though. There is this measured move that we put in overnight, this zipper measured move. Here's the impulse. Here's the zipper. The main target above is 2170.50 and then 2174. So let's put those in our chart. Sorry, what did I just say it was? 70.50. And I always do that. I don't know why. Oh. Sorry. A little bit tired this morning. And then the extended is 74. Okay, and then our daily ATR. Now, our daily ATR, we've got an outlier. It's actually 31.85, but I'm taking the Brexit day out because it was 120.5 range for that one day. So I'm pulling that out, and when I pull that out, our 20-period ATR drops down from 31.85 down to 27.25. So off of the low overnight at 21.42.75 plus the 27.25, our upside ATR target is 21.70. So just slightly higher than it was yesterday. We have a new all-time high at 21.68. We had this. We don't have to have this. There is a measured move up here from the weekly, and it's 21.88.50. And then, of course, we're going to have the 2200 coming into play if we continue to move up into the upper 2100s above 21.75. So let's just take a look at what's happened overnight. We do have a P-shape profile overnight. We've got some repair to do. We had a big discussion last night about the profile itself and it being incomplete. We opened up last night and we had a Globex gap, and I talk about these Globex gaps all the time from the ETH session that runs from 4:30 Eastern to 5 o'clock. We put in this zipper right here, and then we gap down and immediately sold off down into the 43.75, and we created this thin area of the profile. And I was talking about the fact that between the Globex gap and the shape of the profile, we knew we had to have some repair. And I got long into this and was looking for this area to get filled in. We did fill it in. Then we had the naked VPOC. The current VPOC never shifted down to the 43.50 or 44 area, so it was left open up in the 46, and we finally came up, closed the Globex gap, and came up into the VPOC, and then chopped around in this upper distribution, creating this upper distribution, and then of course when Europe opened up, they just rallied again and took us right back up, and we created this P-shaped profile with repair right here. So this is basically kind of a short covering rally. It's algo driven most definitely, but here we are. Doesn't matter why we're here, we're up here. So currently right now we have an overnight high at 68. We have which is also our all-time high. We could get a VPOC shift. We're creating a little bit of a double distribution up here. We could get a VPOC shift up to 62.25 or 63.25. We still have 28 minutes to go. So I'll put the VPOC in at the 59, but likely going to shift higher if we continue to trade up here. And then our overnight low is all the way down at 42. Now, note that our Globex overnight low yesterday was 42. Tonight, it was 42.75. We did put in a lower low in the RTH at 39.50, but the Globex traders seem to like that 42 and the buyers are stepping in. So our overnight low is 42.75, and that's just below the value area from yesterday. And then we have this thin area that basically starts just below the midpoint and the developing value area low for the Globex at 56 and a quarter. So we've got this LVN that starts and it really runs all the way down to 49. So from 54.75 down to 49. So I'm going to be using the 54.75 as a key trade level this morning, and looking for a move through down here and targeting the 49 and a quarter, but really I'm going to be targeting this range high and the open of yesterday. We had an open drive yesterday. We opened at the 2150.75 and then drove down into the prior day. So I'm going to be using the open and the range high from yesterday as a trade area. Trade areas, for those that are visiting, they are targets as well as areas that I will enter a trade or add on to a trade. And the difference between a target and a trade area is a target is where I'm going to scale, but I won't add. A trade area is a target and an area that I might add or enter a trade. Let's do the lower levels because that's what we've got. If we get inside of yesterday's range, I'd be looking for a move down into testing the value area high at 47.50, and then below that a move to take out the naked close. We closed at 2145.75. We've got a VPOC at 2146, so I'd be looking for coming down and taking out this VPOC. Just remember that the gap rule is in effect, and we have a low probability of that happening, although this market has just been absolutely crazy. And then the lower side of the value is down here at the IB low and the 2143, which is also just below the LVN from yesterday. So I'm going to be using the LVN down to the IB low and the value area low down here as a trade level, and then we've got the overnight low just below us. So going to be very important to watch this 68, and if they leave the 68 alone and come down and get inside of yesterday's range, we've got to be looking at the Globex stat, which has a 96% probability of taking out the overnight high or overnight low. That will bring the overnight low really into play if and I say if we leave that 68 alone in that all-time high and overnight high alone. And then below that, our key line in the sand is still going to be the same. It's going to be down at that 38 and a quarter, which was the little bit of a gap that we still got going there, and the range high from Tuesday, and then all our levels to the downside all remain the same. Again, our ATR 20 period ATR is running 27 and a quarter, taking out the outlier. So off of 2168, take off the 27 and a quarter 20 period daily ATR. That gives us a downside daily ATR target of 2140. 2140.75 to be exact. Okay, and then all these levels and all this area down below that needs to be repaired is still open. So we still have that going for us once we get there. So to the upside, we got nothing. There's no guidance. All we can do is look at the measured moves. We're going to open option outer range. The upper Keltner right now is running at 2167. I do expect a move towards this 21. When did that shift? It is 2159, right? Where's my Globex chart? Just disappeared too. Sorry about this. There's my relative. I think I just closed it out. Didn't mean to do that. Now it's going to freeze my chart up for a second. Sorry about that. All right. It's 21:59. I thought it was. That get shifted. All right. So we are going to open auction out of range. I expect to move down into this 21:59. So it's going to be very difficult trading up here today. It's been very difficult trading altogether since Brexit, because we just have had this slow grind up and this parabolic move. So we're going to open auction out of range. My main hypothesis is an open auction out of range, move down towards the 21:59. Our gap is down here at 45. So if we open up right here, this is going to be approximate because I have to wait for the actual open. Our 21:45.75. So we've got a 16.5 point gap right now. So very low. It's like 14% probability of closing the gap. But our half gap fill is going to be 8 1/4, and if we open up here, 21.62 1/4 minus 8 1/4, 21.54. So that's just below this 54.75. So I'm going to move this down to 54, and this is going to be trade area and going to be our half gap, and it's approximate because we don't have the open yet. If we open up a little bit higher, it might be 21.54.75, and I'll move this up. But this is our half gap zone. So my main hypothesis is an open auction out of range, a move down, take out the overnight VPOC, find initiative buyers down somewhere between 59 and 54, and then look for them to have continuation and go up and take out the overnight high and test the measured moves at 70, 50, and 74, and chop around up here in the near the daily and the weekly ATR, average true range, targets to the upside. So main hypothesis: open auction out of range, move down, find initiative buyers somewhere between 59 and 54, and then rotate up and chop around in the upper 60s and lower 70s. That's my main hypothesis. Hypo 2 is an open auction out of range, a move up, take out the overnight high, and fail somewhere between the 68 and the 74, rotate back down and chop around in the 59 area, probably coming down and testing the range high at 50.75 as a late date probe. But basically, both Hypo 1 and Hypo 2 is a rotational day outside of range, the prior day range. So one is a move up and then move down and chop. The other one is a move down, find buyers, come up and chop. Hypo 3 is a open auction. Open test drive or open drive, and we open and we move up, take out the overnight high, put in a new all-time high, chop around in the 68 to 71 area, and then get continuation and go up, and the target is going to be the 21.8850 measured move. It's a Hypo 3 because it's a lower probability because we're going to be above our weekly ATR. But if we get above our weekly ATR, remember, we could get another gap and go day, which was a possibility yesterday. That didn't happen. And then Hypo 4 is going to be an open auction out of range, a move down, chop in the 21.54 to 21.50.75, and then get a continuation wave down into the range and back into this two-day balance in chop around, and the target will be 46. So Hypo 4 is open auction failure, move down, get a chop area in the 50.75 to 54, and then get the continuation wave down to 46, and then chop around inside of yesterday's range and the 2-day balance. So those are my 4 main hypotheses. Again, we have to be watching gap rules today because we're opening so strong, so this market could just continue and we get a gap and go day. Taking a look at the Keltner, you can see that the upper Keltner line is at 67. Our center line is at 61. Our overnight VPOC is 59. If we get below the 61, look for them to come down to the VPOC. A test of the lower Keltner is going to take us down by the time we get there, likely into that 54.75, 54 area and do the half gap fill. But if we hold the Keltner center line, a move up is going to take us up into the 67, 68 area and most likely take out the overnight high and put in a new all-time high, possibly take us up into those 2 measured moves at 70, 50, and 74. Take a quick look at gold, around gold chart. Gold, we are talking that the destination, we were unable to hold above that 63. Our primary target was the 38.80. I was asked yesterday where my destination was, where I thought we'd find some support. I said down here at the microcomposite VPOC of the area that we just broke out of. Here we are trading right now back in that VPOC. Key line in the sand to hold on gold is 13.1250. If we get below the CLVN, the next destination is down here at 1286.90 and a test into the 1200s, but the first target will be the 1303.50. And then, of course, we've got to hold the 1300s or 1299 area, but if we don't, this is the next key target down here at 1287. But we could see a bounce off of this. If we bounce, look for them to come up into the 28 and test the range low that we just fell out of. And if we can get above that, I'd be looking for a move up into this 39.50 today. I don't think you're going to see much more of a move than that. The more likely move is a move down to test this 13.1250 if they do not hold this 22. But if they do hold the 22, look for them to chop in this distribution zone and possibly go up and test up here at the 39.20. I don't expect to get any higher than that today. So that's going to complete our pre-market session. As always, trade well, trade safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side.